Welcome to Rom Wills Money Matters. Solopreneurs can make money. Solopreneurs, and I touched on it very, very briefly in a previous episode. Solopreneur is basically an entrepreneur who doesn't have employees. Now, there's always a lot of talk about like, oh, well, you got to have these firms that can have employees and everything. I'm going to tell you what, first of all, some people don't want to be bothered with all of that. Second of all, you can actually still make a lot of money, even become a millionaire as a solopreneur. In fact, that's what inspired my previous episode, because there was a solopreneur who was making money, making $1 million with a subscription site. If there's work, because especially with the internet now, especially with the web now, you don't always need a person. Like, yeah, you could, depending on what you're doing, you can use someone, but no, you can make 6 figures, 7 figures without an employee. I don't have any employees, don't really need it. A lot of everything I can do myself. People do hit me up talking about, well, I can get you that, that thumbnail and all of that. I can do the same thumbnails myself if I choose to. And there's a way, reason why I do what I do is I'm branding myself. So I don't need to follow what anybody else do. But see, that's a solopreneur. A solopreneur, the beauty of a solopreneur is they don't have to do much. Even tax-wise, I've actually talked with some professionals, like everybody forming an LLC. Sometimes it's better just get that tax license and just go. That business license and just go. But that's another conversation. But I'm going to tell you what, as a solopreneur, depending on what you're doing, you can make a lot of money. Especially if you're doing something online, service or product or just idea. Like I talked about a subscription service. Like, depending on what, you can create several websites easily that are subscription services. You can create several. And depending on what it is, you can make a lot of money. And like I said, I can get you to 6 figures. And what I'm doing is making 6 figures, and I ain't even going as hard as I could go. I'm not going as hard as I could, but say that I was, and I can't expand. I'm always looking into ways to expand anyway. And I'm still recuperating, but getting better every day. And y'all know what I'm recuperating from. If you have to ask, that means you just some random person. Don't worry about it. So, but anyway, depending on what you're doing, definitely do stuff online. And if you're talking about 6 figures, because you got some solopreneurs, they might just do stuff, be freelancing or, maybe photography. Heard this young lady, she was a freelance dog cleaner. It depends. Somebody might get into the pet business as a solopreneur. I was talking about that earlier this week. But you can make money. Like, depending on what you're doing, like if it's a business, especially like online though, you don't always need a bunch of employees. Like if you have like a brick and mortar store, definitely you need some employees. But you have some people, you might create a product, you might make soap or something. You do that yourself and you just sell it yourself. That you're a solopreneur there. A lot of vendors are solopreneurs, they make their own stuff. You can be a book publisher, because that's still my main thing. You can be a book publisher, write a book and sell it, and it'd be selling like crazy. You still might need, you could probably still use, you can outsource some work. Sometimes you can just outsource it to another one. Like, okay, like say if you are a writer, you can outsource like somebody to design a cover. You can outsource somebody to do some editing and just pay them, but you still don't have an employee, but you still, you paid them. Those are tax write-offs. Don't get caught up thinking, well, I gotta have this. Now you might have the type of business you do need someone, but everybody doesn't. It depends on what you're doing. Like, that's something to think about, especially when you get started in business. And really, let's just be real. When most people start in business, it's just them. It's just them. But you don't want that mindset that you can't make money from it just because you don't have an employee. Because once you have an employee, I'm gonna be real, that's a lot of extra stuff because you still have to pay them. You have to pay them. Well, one, you gotta find the right employee. Two, you still have to pay them. And it's a lot of little stuff that's extra with them. Now, if you can handle it or your business requires it, that's fine. But you got a lot. Don't think just because you're just by yourself, you can't make money with it. Like I said, I'll use the example again of a subscription service. When I looked at these guys, these primarily men, probably some women too, making money, talking about they millionaires or something. You know, they just had singular things. They didn't really need other people, especially online. You don't need other people. You know, you don't really need them. It depends on what you're doing. You know, even then, it just popped in my head about this guy who he had a mobile detailing business. He just had some water in his van, had some equipment and everything. He would just go around to people. He's probably making a lot of money that way. You know, if you're making a couple hundred a day, trust me, you can get to six figures. You can get to six figures depending on what you're doing and everything. So it depends. It depends. You could be a solopreneur as cutting grass. Cutting grass. Hey, you cutting enough grass? Shoot. You working by yourself? Shoot. You can make money though. See, that's the main thing, but you got to think, okay, what service or product do I have? What service or product I'm putting out there before you even get there? In fact, and like I say, most businesses start out. Now, like I say, you still don't, you might get to a point you need an employee, but don't think, oh, I got to have an employee to become a millionaire or something. It's like, no. Like I said, when I was looking up some stuff about solopreneurs, that's what inspired the subscription service. Because, okay, let's use that for an example. You're a writer or you doing some videos and everything, and you just had to put them on, one of the subscription sites like Patreon. Like I said, I have 2 Patreons, and I can still I can do live stuff on there if I chose to. I can do live stuff. And indeed, even on one of my sites where I do my on-demand videos, I have people subscribe. So they find out right away about whatever I put out. They'll find out right away. So the thing is, depending on what you're doing, you can make some money. And you want to do that. You want to think about it as a solopreneur. Don't think you automatically have to have employees, because you get into some other technical stuff once you start having employees. So whatever the case, you can, as a solopreneur, make money. All right? So anyway, y'all have a good day now. Let's go make that money.